Hello and happy Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you spending some of your time with me. Today we're going to talk about pain and the reality that it's a part of life and how do we deal with it. Okay, if we have physical pain, there is a clear indication in our body that something is wrong, something needs to be corrected, something is exposed, and then we tend to it. We have a cut, we see that it's bleeding, we go either get stitches or get a Band-Aid, we clean it, we do what we need to do to take care of that cut. When we have emotional and mental pain, most people have a tendency to run from it. If we think about emotional and mental pain as we would a cut, when you try to ignore it or pretend like it's not real, you're going to bleed out or you're going to get an infection and then it's going to spread. It's no different when you have a emotional and mental pain. If you don't face it, acknowledge it, like there's a problem, something's wrong, this needs to be corrected because something's exposed, we end up running the risk of either bleeding out, losing ourselves, or developing an infection, or rather something that it spreads and it takes over us. Depression, chronic sadness, chronic illness. Because when we are running from pain, our bodies, our immune systems are suppressed and cortisol levels go up, which means that we're more likely to get sick. People who are suffering from loss, divorce, a death, are more likely to become physically ill because their bodies, their immune systems are suppressed. Our brain does not know the difference between physical pain and mental and emotional pain. It registers pain the same way. We recognize the difference because if it was a cut, we would go get it taken care of. But when it's emotional and mental pain, we either run from it or we move in with it. And there's something very clear that I know to be true. And it's when we face the pain, we recognize it for what it is. We say, okay, why are you here? What's exposed? What needs to be corrected? What am I supposed to learn from you? And then we really face it and deal with it and do the hard work head on. That's how we get through the pain. The only way to get through the pain is to go through the pain. Right? I'm going to say that again. The only way to get through the pain is to go through the pain. And when we run from it, again, we're just exposing ourselves, we're bleeding out. When we pretend like it's fine, it's not. It's going to hinder us. It's going to suppress us mentally, emotionally, physically. It's going to make us sick. So it sounds both simplistic and counterintuitive, but the best way to deal with pain is to deal with the pain. Acknowledge it. I'm mad, right? There was a family, these two women, and their mother died, and she was a chronic smoker. And she ended up dying of lung cancer. And one of the sisters was just years having such a hard time. And then she mentioned her mom, and we got to talking about her mom. And then she says, I'm still so sad about it. And I thought, okay, so we just asked a few more questions, and then it turns out that she wasn't, in fact, sad about it. She was mad. She was mad at her mother for choosing to continue to smoke, knowing, right, in today's day and age, everybody knows, what it would do to her. And she said that she remembered having conversations with her mother, saying to her mother, you need to quit smoking so you could be there for your grandkids, for this, for that, and the other. And she felt like it was really selfish of her mother. So when she finally said those things out loud and really faced the pain of that head on, because the pain came from not wanting to say it out loud and not wanting to seem like she was being disrespectful or dishonoring her mother. And when she was able to just really acknowledge that and face it and say it out loud, and she said, I'm mad at her for continuing smoking, and I'm mad that she left us by choice. She chose to keep smoking, and we were going to pay for her to go to smoking cessation classes, and we were going to pay for this, and she chose to keep doing it, and I'm mad at her. And then she broke down, and she was crying, and it was like the cleansing of the cut, and then she was able to then forgive her mother and release that. And then she started getting better, because she kept getting sick. And it turns out, again, that the only way through the pain is through the pain. That's it. The only way through it is through it, right? And we have to remember that it is a process, and for some people it's longer, and for some people it's shorter. And when we get through it, a couple of things happen. One, if when we face it, we do so keeping God and the notion that He is always here. We don't push Him out. We don't run from Him. We keep Him with us, recognizing who we are and whose we are. And we keep Him with us and say, okay, God, listen, I can't do this by myself, but I know that with you, all things are possible. I know that your grace is sufficient. I know that I can do anything with you by my side, right? And we decide to step into the pain and to walk through it. When we come out on the other side, one, we forged a stronger relationship with God. Two, we recognize what we're capable of doing and how resilient and amazing He has created us to be. Three, we recognize that pain is a part of life and that we can learn from it. And then four, we can help other people who are going through something similar by saying, I've been there and there is another side, but you have to keep doing the work to get through it. You have to get through the pain. And that's really like one of the most beautiful things about pain is being able to turn to someone else who's in the midst of it and say to them, there is hope. There is light. There is another side of this. You don't have to stay here forever, but you have to come through. So I'll be on this side waiting for you, cheering you on. You have to come through. And then, encouraging them to come through on the other side. But in order to do that, we have to be willing ourselves to go through the pain. So my suggestion is to step into the pain. Step right into it. Look it in the eye. Call it over. Engage with it. You don't let it move in. You don't give it space in your house. You don't assign it a seat in your car. But you definitely engage with it. You talk it out. You have conversations. You yell. You scream. You do what you have to do. You go through your process. You get a therapist. You get a counselor. You get a pastor. You get a friend that you can trust. You journal. You process the pain. You go through the process of the pain, because the only way to get through the pain is to go through the pain. So that's my nugget for you today. If you like this video, you can hit the thumbs up. If you know someone else who can benefit from it, please feel free to share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and you can get a Wizdom Wednesday, I almost forgot the word, Wizdom, a Wizdom Wednesday video every Wednesday in your box. And if you haven't already signed up for my monthly newsletter on my on my website, the information will be below in the comments. And this month's newsletter is all about pain, 7 tips, things that we can do to help process and deal with pain to get through it. Because when we are willing to step into the pain and really do that with a supernatural connection to our Heavenly Father, come out on the other side, glitter, sparkle, rainbows, unicorns. I'm being a little facetious, but you know what I mean. Being willing to take that responsibility for your life and to step into it and to learn from it and to grow from it, so that you can not just better yourself, but then use that as an opportunity to create a positive impact in someone else's life. Super sparkly everything. So I love you. I hope you have a great weekend and a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye.